Kim here from CustomDollBaby.com. Welcome back to another episode of Reborn with me. Yesterday we talked a lot about how and why to paint the creases, and we got started on one of the limbs. Today I'm finally going to finish all of that creasing up. This is a Realborn doll with a lot of creases, so make sure if you're working on a Realborn you set aside plenty of time for your creasing. It's a lot of work, but it's absolutely worth it, so let's dig in. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to show you how to use thinning medium to create your creases colors. So I have my little silicone tool here that I like to use when I'm working with thinning medium. So I've already gotten a scoop of it on the tool and added this to my palette. It can separate a little bit in the jar, so you might want to stir it up a little just to make sure you've got a smooth consistency. And then we're going to use the same colors that we used yesterday. The thinning medium helps to dilute the color as well as to help with the drag. So you have to be very careful because these are super pigmented colors. I just want to get a teeny bit at a time and work it into the thinning medium. So this one is the Pyro Red. As you can see, it is very bright. Thinning mediums, thick medium, and to a lesser extent matte varnish are ways to create very robust colors in the Genesis, which is kind of the opposite of what we want in reborning most of the time, but it is very useful if you're painting hair, because hair is one feature that you don't need to be translucent on the doll. Okay, so that's my Pyro Red. I'm going to add a little ultramarine blue. As you recall, we're trying to recreate that dirty purple color. A little bit more blue. And if this gets too concentrated, we can always add more thinning medium. You can see we're getting that dirty purple consistency. Just looking good. Okay. So that's already a pretty nice color. But I'm going to put just a teensy bit of Genesis red in it, just to brighten it up a little bit. Okay, so that is what it looks like with the thinning medium. If you're feeling like it's not dragging well or it's a little too thick, you can always add a few drops of odorless paint thinner to loosen it up a little bit. If the color is too concentrated, you can always add more thinning medium to make it more diluted. Once again, I'm creating the 3 different colors. So I already have the color that we started with, which is a general creasing color. I have the one that I like to see in the larger shaded areas. This is the more purple color, and because we're in the thinning medium, I think you can really see the difference between them, whereas yesterday it may have been harder to tell. And I'm just going to make the more diluted rose color for the wrinkles. So I just got a little bit of what we started with. I'm going to add a little more thinning medium to it. And that helps to dilute the color. I've got a lot of wrinkles, so I'm actually going to make a little bit more. And you can just keep adding thinning medium until you get the consistency that you want. One nice thing about the thinning medium over the odorless paint thinner is you can really see what your color is going to look like on the doll. Whereas with the odorless paint thinner, it has a tendency to separate on you. It's very shiny when you first put it on, and you're never really quite sure what it's going to look like until it's dry. Whereas the thinning medium, I mean, what you see is what you get. The colors we're looking at right now are precisely what they're going to be on the doll. Okay, the creases are really fine here, so I'm actually going to use a smaller brush to dry the paint. So I don't want to spread it all over everywhere. I want to keep it in those creases. Got a little smudge here on the neck, so I'm just going to clean that up. Okay, so that's something you can do for the neck. That's pretty neat. Of course, I need to do a lot more of that, but I just wanted to demonstrate it. Another thing that's cool that you can do on the head actually looks really nice in the earlobes. So I'm going to take my medium color, not quite the one that I use for my wrinkles, but not as dark as the ones that I use for deep creases. I'm going to go right in this top part of the earlobe. I'm going to take my deep crease color and get in this crevice here. And these deep dark parts. Okay. And I'm going to get the medium color, maybe go around these corners. You can always add more later. Okay, I'm going to take my dry brush and spread that around. I'm going to blend it to a seamless finish. Okay, this is kind of a small spot, so I'm going to get my smaller brush again. And what I'm trying to do is color the contours of the ear. So I want the shape of the ear to be even more noticeable based on how it's been shaded. So isn't that neat? Just gonna clean up a little bit. It's gonna have nice, neat lines when you're doing it. Just gonna drag that out a little more. And I still have a little paint on my dry brush, so I'm gonna use that to dab into this little corner here. And I'm gonna get in this crevice now. It's really difficult to dig paint out of this spot once you put it in there, so try not to put too much. It's just a really awkward shaped area. Okay, I'm actually going to blend it to this whole surface. I'm sure there's like good Latin words for the names of these parts, but I don't have the time to go learn them, so you know what I'm talking about. From this hole. Alright, this is actually an opening, so we want to make that as dark as possible to create the illusion that you're looking down the baby's ear canal, even though you're not. I don't know anyone who hollows out the ears in the same way that people tend to hollow out the nostrils. I don't recommend it. I generally avoid hollowing out things because I don't want water to get dropped in there for clients who like to bathe their dolls. See, doesn't that just look neato? So that's a really fun thing you can do with your creases color. And if you like, you can do it around the back of the ear too, because this doll has a little bit of a raised area. So we'll go ahead and plop some paint in there too. I'm using the lighter color because I'm outside with the ear now. This is kind of my medium creasing color. Drop some here, and drop some under here. And again, use my dry brush to spread it around. This is a very flat area, so I'm going to use this flat shader brush. Start from where I put the paint and drag it to lighter spots. And it's really up to you how dark you make this and how many layers you do. I've never seen any doll collector be like, oh my gosh, look at the back of his ears. So I feel like that's not something that people are really passionate about. So How much time you spend painting it is really up to you. And that's a really cool trick. Whew, okay, I am really tired. Before I take my lunch break, I wanted to let you know that I finally finished the creasing. I may go back and add a few more layers, but for now, we've got a nice coating on the feet and the legs and thighs. This is a very, very detailed kit, so please set aside a few days to work your creases because there are so many of them. And as you can see, once they're painted, they look fantastic, but my goodness, it takes a long time to do. I finished the head as well, so you can see more definition to the eyelids. I also went ahead and creased the lips, and this is something that you can either do while you're creasing or you can do it when you go back and paint the lips, but I thought it was convenient to take care of that while I was here. So we've got the folds around the neck, the coloring in the ears. I painted it all the way around the back of the neck. It looks very sweet. So this is a combination of a creasing and shading kind of layer. And got our hands here too. And there were lots and lots of itty bitty folds in the hands, so there we go. That looks more right. So as you can see, those are all painted in. There's a sympathetic air bubble in this hand. I don't know if you can see it. That's something from the casting, so I'm trying to paint over it. I don't think it's a defect. I think all of the dolls probably have them because it's a very tight space and it's difficult to cast that in a mold. But yeah, just trying to paint over it so it's a little less noticeable. So we got the creasing in the arms, and you can see, as I was saying, that the creasing is darker, so darker paint in the deeper crease, lighter paint in a more shallow crease. And that makes a really big difference in adding dimension to the doll. So now I'm gonna go eat lunch, and when I come back, I'm gonna give these a really thorough inspection to make sure that I didn't miss a spot, and especially make sure that I don't have any paint in an area where I intended to blend it out and forgot to do that. So I wanna make sure everything is blended to a seamless finish, that everything looks good. We're gonna put it in the oven at 250 degrees Fahrenheit for 8 minutes to cure this creasing layer, and then when we're done with that, we'll be ready to go back and do some more blushing. So thank you very much for reborning with me and for going through this creasing process. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those below the video and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for joining. I will see you next time.